My actual microphone was on mute. That's what I get for being fancy. Everyone hear me okay now? Awesome. Cool. So yeah, rewind. Like I was saying earlier, deployment is often a personal thing, and going through a fake or contrived simple example is usually less helpful than actually working through something that someone's already got. So since y'all are the ones who have been doing projects and you would like to deploy them, I would like a volunteer for someone who would like to either start off deploying front or back end and or troubleshoot the deployment you've already started. Any volunteers?
I can share my deployment.
Awesome.
Not having too many issues, but I can kind of go through what I did. Yes. I used Heroku. My password. So I did most of it through the Heroku web app. I started off trying to do it through the terminal using like the Heroku command line interface, but I kept running into issues with that. So I switched to using the web app, which I found pretty easy to use. So I created two instances on Heroku for my backend and for my front end. I also upgraded to the hobby version, which is $7 a month, so that my backend didn't keep falling asleep and bugging me while I was testing it. So I'll pay that $7 for a month and then stop. Like I said, I used the web app, so I connected my GitHub, and then I set it up to do automatic deploys, and I created a production branch or deployment branch in my GitHub so that when I would push up to my main branch, and then I would also push into my deployment branch so that they were always basically the same. Or if there was something I didn't want to have in deployment, I would just push to main, and then when I was ready to do deployment, I would push into deployment.
Way to do it.
For the most part, this worked. My biggest issue was I kept getting some CORS problems. I was using a .env file to keep like my API URL in so that I didn't have to change it in a bunch of places whenever I deployed. And Heroku or somebody did not like that, and so it kept constantly breaking things. So this version that's on here, I'm not fully sure if it's working right now.
I can show you where Heroku likes to keep those environment variables if you haven't found it already.
Yeah, it actually is working, at least somewhat. And so the automatic deployments I think are super helpful, but setting it up so that you're not deploying from main every time, because your main is probably not going to be perfect. So having this, a development branch and a production branch, I think is helpful. So yeah, and I think it's set up very similarly on the back end. Again, pay the extra $7, because if you don't, your back end will fall asleep after 30 minutes, and then every time you go to use it, it'll have to wake up again, and that was just annoying the shit out of me. But the deployment is the same, connected to GitHub and connected to my backend branch. And this one, the backend, because I'm rarely changing it now that I'm this deep into the project, I'm just deploying directly from main for the backend. The one thing with my backend is, as I showed in the demo, I set up the app automatically sends emails when you sign up. That required my backend to have my Google password, my Gmail password. So every time I deploy to main, I just go in and delete the password and push the main. I know there's ways of like keeping it secret on the back end.
Let me show you where that is. If you go to your under that more menu in the upper right. There should be, nope, that's what I want. Settings, that's what I want over here on the main menu. I was thinking about logs. Right there, reveal config vars. Boom. So now you can just add key value pairs there and grab them out of env, and you're all good.
Would, but oh, just here. So if I could put in my password and then.
Yep.
Oh, okay. That is
Yeah,
much
you can
easier.
keep adding as many as you want. So you can use them for API keys, or you can use them for anything you don't want out there. It's just secret on the server.
Okay, so I could do it in here and have my API key and put that equals to my backend rather than my localhost 3000.
Yeah. And remember, because React runs on the front end, anything that's running in React, no matter where it comes from originally, is going to be visible if someone inspects the JavaScript of the page. So don't put anything like super secret there. If you're using an API on the front end, there's no way to do that without revealing the key. That's just how it is. If there's a super secret API with a key that you need to use, I would recommend putting that as a route on your backend and then hitting it from the backend and then sending it back, sort of like using your backend as a proxy. But for most purposes here, putting front-end API keys on the front end is fine.
Yeah, I don't have anything super secret except for my Gmail password on the back end, which I obviously want to keep secret.
Super careful with that.
Okay, that's good to know. The one issue I was having with my deployment, besides the API URL getting messed up and causing CORS issues, was the domain. I bought the domain name for it. It was $2. And I can't get it to validate. So I've been trying to work through that.
Where did you, okay, where did we get our domain from?
It's a GoDaddy domain. So it's like, it's connected to Heroku because it's like, this is a Heroku site, but it's not pulling up my actual front end app like I wanted to.
Is your front end, does it have like a base URL that you go to, or does it?
It has the like the
It's like when you hit it on localhost, what does it look like?
it has the like the Heroku app URL. Is that what you mean?
I guess so, yeah. Or just there's no like extra directory to go into. That's cool. Can I see what that error was again?
Saying the Ssl certificates are failing.
Oh yeah. So just do that there. Automatic. And basically Let's Encrypt is a free SSL service that a lot of places use. So you should be able to.
Yeah, it's getting this CDN not returning HTTP challenge certificate.
That might be a problem on their side then.
Yeah. I found a couple of articles and I've tried some things, but I still can't get it to work. But
yeah,
it's not that big of a deal. I don't really care that much. It was a $2 domain.
The other thing you can do is just take HTTPS off. So if you configure SSL,
yeah, I'm not using HTTPS.
Yeah, so up in the certificates configure there. Yeah,
just remove it.
Remove SSL, and then you can.
Yeah, the issue was that it was giving me this scary message of you cannot undo this action. So,
yeah, but you can do it again. Might just configure it again. Cool. And so that'll be at HTTP instead of HTTPS. If that's not the thing that fixes it, then there's something else wrong. So that's pointing to the Heroku app. Can we take a look in the Heroku logs and see if it's getting anything there?
the Heroku logs.
Yeah. So that's the one under the more menu. View logs. Cool. So getting getting a logo, getting manifest. Let's doing something. So it's going to Podkeeper app/home, it looks like.
And
That last line.
yeah, that's my homepage. I think. Oh, so you're saying that because where the frick did it go? If I go to /home.
Yeah, I think that's where it's going to by default. I'm not sure if it's the routing that's failing or that if there's something else that needs to get set up to make that happen. Let's see. So it's not, it wasn't the SSL thing, so you took care of that. It is. Can you look at the console in that on that page that's not loading and see if there's anything?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's do a reload there. Cool. Get rid of the home just to make sure we're. Aha. Not found. Cool. So, it's going to Heroku. Let's look through it. Your DNS is set up correctly to point to the right place. Going there.
Where was that stuff again? Here.
HTTP great. Now looks okay. Can you go to just your app name instead of the domain name?
I'm sorry, not following.
So if you didn't have the custom domain, where would you look at this?
I would just go to
Yes.
Podkeeper FE
That
HerokuApp.com.
is working. Cool. So it's some disconnect in where we're getting the DNS pointed to the right place. Just can look at the configuration stuff again. Domain, configure that, great. App can be found there. Domain name, great. That looks good.
Wait, is this the issue? I don't know, because that's the DNS, right? It shouldn't be pointing to my app.
Server. It feels like for some reason, like it's getting the domain, it's pointing it at the right place,
Right,
or it's pointing it at Heroku.
right. Because this used to be a GoDaddy page and now it's a Heroku page.
Yeah. Not getting to your app there. It says there's nothing here.
Mhm.
Did you have to add a all caps CNAME file to your repo to make it happen? Is that anything?
I did not. I believe I did some CNAME stuff on the GoDaddy side.
Yeah, so I think targets. That's not helpful. Can you go to in that page that's not working there? Yeah. Can you try www.podkeeper.live? It just redirects back to there.
Yeah, it's the same.
Okay. That's not that. Oh.
No, we don't have to solve this right now.
Yeah, no,
There's
this is interesting.
a couple of articles I
Let's look
found.
at one more thing in your GoDaddy setup. Maybe it is Yeah, not sure.
Look at all those errors.
Yeah, I can't fucking go down. Those are all ads that are getting blocked. GoDaddy's trash.
GoDaddy is trash. I agree.
I usually use Namecheap.
Well, maybe I'll buy the same name. No, it's not one. The same name with a different dot after it.
Google Podkeeper Live. Manage DNS. Let's see what we got there. Cool. Podkeeper. And so Podkeeper FE is the one that works, right?
Yes.
Can you add another one that's just a I think it's just an @ Podkeeper FE Heroku app? A C name?
So what's the name would be?
Just a @ sign. And then yeah, point it to the right place. Podkeeper FE Heroku app.
HTTPS, www.
Just a name.
Just the name.
Yeah. Yeah, because DNS doesn't care about what protocol is going to a place. It just cares about where the place is. Leave that default. That's fine. Cool. Let's see if that doesn't let you. Okay, great. How do we do that?
Because the one I did was www.
Yeah. Coming from. Oh, so maybe. Can we take a look at your Heroku config again? Maybe it has to be www, and on the Heroku side, it's expecting something different. Yeah, great. Can we?
Wait, should I be putting this warm anaconda somewhere?
No, I think that's the server, maybe. What we want here is, I think instead of Podkeeper Live, we want it to be www Podkeeper Live, because that's what's coming from the DNS. Cool. Great. Cool. Let's see if that does any good. Hey, that's what. Cool.
Okay.
I found that by Googling. I'll show you where I wound up.
Thank you. It was like mildly annoying me, but not enough to fix. So thank you for that.
Yeah, so that's the and so this is what, like, because depending on where you're hosting, depending on where your DNS is being served from, where your host is, how you're connecting, all that, that's always going to be different. And that's why I think it's less useful for me to like use Heroku and do this all the time. But maybe your DNS server, your domain name provider is not the same as mine. So you're always going to have something like, this is typical deployment bullshit. And basically it's just like taking the exact message you're getting and Googling that and giving it like your hosting provider, and maybe your DNS provider name or your domain provider name. Just like, because other people will definitely have had the same problem, because there's a billion things that can go wrong.
Right. Yeah, I mostly followed guides written by previous Flatiron students, because they're also building React app with Ruby backends. And like I said earlier, I started trying to do it in the terminal and was like, no, this isn't working, and switched to just doing it on the web. And honestly, I had the basic stuff set up in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So Heroku makes it super easy because they want your money eventually. They wanted my $7.
Yep.
So, and I gave it to them. So it was actually, pretty painless. And then just figuring out on the GitHub side, do I want to just do it from main? Do I want to do manual deployments, or do I want to just set up a deployment or production
I
branch?
think the web client is super, super good. You can do it from the command line if you want to be a badass about it, but like there's
Don't do it.
Can I see your Heroku config one more time? I'm curious about one thing here.
Yeah.
Because I've had a Heroku problem that I haven't been unable to resolve for like the last year. In the deploy section, I just want to see if this is a problem all around. Cool, so it's connected to GitHub. Anytime you push to deployment, it automatically deploys.
Yes.
Great. My account will not allow me to do that.
No.
I used to have it set up that way, and then about a year it stopped working. It won't let me connect. It lets me connect to GitHub, but it won't let me look at any repos. So I can't set up any deployment on it. So I have to like do the push to Heroku every time I want to deploy, which is a pain.
Right. I can see all of my repos here, and I can manually deploy one of them.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Deploy main manually.
Troubleshooting that one. Yeah, I've like created new projects, created new repos, tried it with a different browser, tried it with a different machine, tried creating a new GitHub account and new like a new Heroku. Like I don't know. That has stumped me for a year. So never feel bad about being blocked by anything. I've been doing this for 35 years. I can't figure out how to deploy my website that way. Cool.
Deployment takes a long time. So if it's like for a while, it's fine. It usually takes like 5 minutes to build the React app.
Yeah, and that log there is super handy when like it's not working for whatever reason. You'll see error messages there. It'll say that you don't have the build pack, or the node version is wrong, or some other dumb shit. There's always something, but it'll always tell you what the error is. And if you don't see it there, if you're getting like 500 errors, go into that more menu and take a look at your Heroku logs. That'll be the console that you would normally see in your terminal, right? So you can debug from there if something is different between your environment there and your environment locally. Yeah, so that's one of many ways to deploy to Heroku.
Awesome. Thank you for fixing my domain issue.
Yeah, you bet. I also posted that in case people don't want to give $7 to Heroku, but you can. There's that caffeine, kaffeine.herokuact.com, which you give it your domain and it will automatically ping it every half hour, so it never goes to sleep. It's kind of cheating, but it's if you don't have $7 to spend, that is a way to do it. Cool. Well, that was cool. There's if you don't want to host your front end on Heroku, which I used to all the time, and now I almost never do. I'm going to paste another thing in chat. It's a module called React GH Pages, and it is super simple to set up. If you follow the instructions on the page, a lot of it will be stuff you've already done. Basically, you just add that React GH Pages, npm install it, and then you change I think it's a homepage line in your package JSON, and then add 2 scripts that say like where your thing is and where you want it to go, and then you just do npm deploy, and it deploys to your GitHub pages at that, or you can point a custom domain at it. Pretty much every React app I've developed in the last couple of years, I do that way. I only use Heroku for hosting backend stuff. And there's a billion other places. There's, Netlify, or I don't even know what the hot places are now, but there's always someone who's eager to host your stuff for free for whatever reason. And yeah, poke around and see what works for you. If Heroku for some reason doesn't, I think their UI is pretty good, but I've also been using it for ever. So if it doesn't stick with you, look around, shop around. There's tons of free or very cheap places to host your stuff. They'll have slightly different procedures. But that main pipeline of like, deploy your app in some way, and they will give you a URL, however that is, and hook up a database to it. It's always pretty much the same in theory. If you want to hook up a custom domain, get your domain, point it at the DNS, and tell your server like, hey, expect something coming from this address. Yeah, and they all have extensive documentation. Like you said, they want to get paid, so they want people to use their stuff. The documentation is usually really good. And if not, the community of deployers around the world is super helpful. Yeah, I think that's all I've got. Anyone have any particular questions or issues I can talk about?
Is the process going to be the same for monorepos?
Mostly. I think if the monorepo works on your local machine, I don't know anything offhand that should be different. You'll only be deploying to one place. And since everything is in one repo, if you change something on the front end, you're restarting the back end. Congratulations. Because they're tied so tightly together. Another argument for using two repos. But yeah, should be pretty much the same. I don't think I'm lying. Yeah. Short answer, yeah, cool.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions or issues? All right then. I'll let you get back to work. Got about half an hour before stand down, so if you need anything, holler. I'll still be here. Thanks for hanging out, and yeah, let me know if you have deployment issues, because it's always a pain like that. Cool. I'll catch you a little bit, and thanks for hanging out.